Okay. And before we start, while people are still logging in, how many people have been in one of my webinars before for maybe the stress management or maybe the emotional intelligence? If anyone can just raise a hand, then I can see who's familiar with what we do. Okay, so there's a few. All right, because today's going to be brand new. It's going to be very new. There's quite a few people. Fantastic. Okay. All right. And could I also ask how many people in today's session, how many are HR representatives and how many people are here for themselves? So firstly, if you could put your hand up, if you are an HR representative and you want to learn how to do a succession planning and a career guidance with staff. And then the second question will be who's here for themselves. But I just want to see, because there's the questionnaire that you can use. I'm going to send it to everyone, and but I'm going to show you how to use it. Okay, so all of these people are here because they are HR representatives and they want to learn how to do this with their staff. So this is a very good career guidance exercise, and it's very good probing into the personal development. All right, and then everyone that's here for themselves, that's here in their own personal capacity, they want today to learn about themselves, their own skills, their own talents, and it's for them. How many of you are here for you and you are not here in an HR capacity? Okay, so there's a lot of hands going. Oh, okay. So there's a lot of hands going up. So there's a small group of HR people who want to know how they can help their staff, and then the majority is here for themselves. So either way, it doesn't matter. You will learn a lot today. Okay, so I'm going to share my document. I can see still some people are logging in. And then I want to ask you to get a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen handy. It's going to be the best if you make some notes. You don't have to worry too much about writing down the question as well. You want to write down your answers, because I am going to send you the document after this, and then you can fit your answers to that. And you can even do the exercise again. So don't be too worried about you writing down your answer and then you don't know with which question it goes to. So just today, relax and enjoy this as if you are in a counseling session. Okay, so I just wanted to introduce myself for those people who doesn't know me. I'm Cecilia Denton. I'm an industrial psychologist, and I'm the owner of PTES Consulting, and we do psychometric assessments for a living. And we work together with the HR Talk, who provides HR support to their clients and to our clients. And they always arrange these sessions with us. So thank you for HR Talk for always arranging this. And please make a note that you will be able to get the document if you send us your details, or if you request it from myself or from HR Talk. So just to repeat that again, today, I want you to treat this as a personal counseling session for you, for your own development, for your own career guidance. So just enjoy it, relax and just enjoy it. Let your mind think freely, really sit back and think. The only difference that's going to happen today versus when I do this one-on-one with someone is I do get an opportunity to listen to the person when they give me their answer. They will talk to me about it. So today, all of you won't be able to talk to me so that we can probe a little bit more, but you will definitely be able to give your answer regarding yourself. So if you've got any questions, pop it in the chat box, because then we can look at it. And this is the significant part of this. You do want to communicate in a two-way stream here. So if you've got any questions or want clarity, pop it in the chat box. And afterwards, also, I'll be able to go through all the questions. Okay, so I'm going to share the document. Let me see. Here we go. Okay. And I'm going to put it next to myself so that you can see me. and you can also see the document. Okay. Let me just give that a second. So from here on forward, I cannot see myself and I cannot see you. So if you've got questions, Charlene will tell me that there's a question in the chat box, but also after the session's been completed, I'll be able to address all your questions. Okay, so let the session start. You will also see that we made it an hour and a half, so I hope you can stay for the duration of it. And it will be beneficial for you. I know it sounds long, but once we get into the rhythm of it, you're really going to enjoy it. Okay, so this is the complete career guidance and counseling guide for the workplace. So we will also call that for personal development purposes. Okay, so firstly, let's start with what is career counseling and what is career guidance. So it is all about offering constructive career guidance and rendering moral support to people. So counseling eliminates your problems and offers career-orientated solutions. Well, we won't get rid of all your problems, but we can guide you in terms of where to go find yourself, look into yourself in order to make your own decisions and determine where are you, who are you, what is your next step. Often we think changing careers or studying a certain thing, it's going to get me to the next salary. We often think in monetary terms. You also really need to look at what is it that you are good at and what do you enjoy, because the enjoyment it's the most important thing. I know we think that the money is, and it is important, but you do need to get a balance between all of them. So career guidance and counseling provides an effective framework in which to think and make your decisions. Okay, so this will also help you balancing your work and life. Okay, so we will look at job satisfaction and it will help you make better decisions. Now I want you to look at these two separate parts. This is why I asked you, are you here as an HR representative or are you here for you? So the first thing here, if you're from HR, this is how you're going to use this manual. So planning employee career counseling. So as an HR representative or a counseling specialist, what is your process? And this is how you would start doing it. This is not if you are an HR representative. So psychometric testing, starting with a thorough assessment of the individual's personality orientation, abilities, learning potential, motives, values, and interests will create a better understanding of your process in a scientific manner. So if you could do any form of psychometric assessment, and you want to look at the interest, but you also want to look at that learning potential. But if you could have a total assessment battery, of course, that will be the best. Then career exploration. Follow the steps in this booklet. This is a one-on-one discussion with your employee that will help you with deeper information on the career direction and the career path of the employee. This is where you can use this guidance profile. So ideally, you want to break it up into more sessions, not just one massive session. We are limited for time, so we only have this one session. But ideally, it would be nice if you could have maybe a few meetings with this person and not just can do all of it all at once. It's also so that, certain questions are asked, you can think about it and let it sink in. And maybe later on, you may have a better answer to your question. And then thirdly, an analysis. This is the combination of all of the above information into understandable report and plan. And then a deep dive on career and courses and entrance exams. So this would be your little process. And you don't want to force anything. You don't want to run it ahead of anything. You want the person to sit and think about it. So recently, I did this exact exercise with someone in the workplace. And the lady was almost unable to give me any answers on almost all of my questions. This is not because it is a dull person or someone that's not very bright or doesn't have perhaps there's lack of insight. But I can tell you now, this person's problem was they never, ever thought about it. They've never, ever sat down and thought, who am I? What am I good at? Am I more than just a person cooking for my family? Am I more than just a person that goes to work and does the absolute minimum there because people expect just the minimum from me? This person was way more than that. She just never, ever had an opportunity to explore and really think about things. Because I can tell you now, each and every one of you have got talents, inherent talents and skills. And all of you may have had plans, whether your plans came to fruition or not, it doesn't matter. You've had thoughts about yourself. You have already existing competencies. But what also happens is we neglect and we underestimate the importance of our own competencies and skills that we learned when we were younger. So I'm going to stimulate that with you today. And I want you to really think about it. So this is what an HR representative can do with their staff. So now let's look at you guys that are here for you today. So how can we help you? So firstly, we want to create an awareness for you about yourself. This will help you to understand who you are and what your needs are. Believe it or not, a lot of people, they don't know themselves. Why do you think something like career guidance exists? But the answers are there. You just haven't been asked the right questions. So, and anyway, who's going to ask it? You need to ask it to yourself, but not all of us are privileged to have someone who would just sit with us and discuss this with us. So this way you can develop your own professional skills directory. Fourthly, identify your strengths, your values, your needs, and your interests. Becoming aware of your abilities and your talents, making good and informed decisions. Don't make hasty decisions based on financial panic in your family or in your situation after COVID. I've seen a lot of panic after COVID. People were jumping jobs, going crazy to just get something. They were frantically going around. Never make any sudden moves. First, calm down, observe, and think about things. What we've also seen in psychology practices after COVID is young married couples that will come in and say, I want to resign and just leave everything behind, and I want to jump ship to the UK. I just want to go and waiter or become a barman there with my husband or whatever. They want to leave all of their skills, their competencies, and their built track record behind for a quick, sudden jump because of panic. And we saw this right after COVID, and then with load shedding, when that started, there was a lot of panic and pandemonium. So you in your family, you and yourself, you don't want to do any quick, frantic decisions. First, stop and just think. Okay, so this is where the informed decisions comes from. Helping balancing work and life, helps in developing job satisfaction, building optimal self-esteem and motivation. So you need to consider your motivation. Why do you want to jump ship? What is it that you want to do? What is your plan? When we get negative, and I don't want to judge you, because the negativity in South Africa at the moment is quite high. The stress levels is 60% higher than it normally was. So we're not ourselves, we're not okay. Then that is the reason why we want to first look at who we are, what do we have, then decide what are we going to do. And then taking control of your own career and life. And then if there's anyone here that maybe you're not panicked about COVID or after COVID, poor salary and maybe, the frustration with our economy and all of maybe you're not there. Maybe you're just thinking about what it is that I can do, what is going on here with me. How can you manage yourself like it's an entity? Remember how they always used to say Pamela Anderson, literally, she was a brand in herself. She was the brand. And she promoted herself. It was the hairstyle, it was the built-in boobs, and it was the whole plastic look. She was a brand. She branded herself. So you need to look at yourself like that, boobs or not. You need to look at yourself as a brand. How are you going to market yourself? But who are you? What do you have to offer? Where are you in your age, in your career life stage? What have you done? What is your portfolio? And you do not have to lie on CVs and things. This is also what South Africans tend to do quite a bit. We lie quite a bit on our CVs. You don't have you've got enough skill, knowledge, and experience, even if you are in your early 20s. Don't underestimate the skill that you've built up when you were in high school, when you were in university, when you went through a really difficult time. Don't underestimate those things. We think that we have to make it up and sell it to people. You already have it. Let's zoom in on it and let's use those. We don't have to make up stuff. Okay, and then for the organization, so guidelines for ensuring effective succession planning and implementation in the workplace, establish clear policies and procedure, undertake job and competency profiling. So this is what the HR people can do to take it a step further. You can write your own little policy around this. This document will already help you to get there. Establish individual development centers incorporating assessment. So you can be in a big organization or medium or very small. Be very creative around it. Look at what you have and what you can add. And then ensure sound performance management systems. You don't neglect this. This is the first thing that gets neglected in South Africa. Identify key positions. Identify future candidates on the ground of assessment centers and performance management outcomes. This is how you can start. Ensure skills development strategy that promotes succession planning. Create, implement, and manage and sustain coaching and mentoring systems. Also, do not manage people's expectations. Don't promise things that's not there. Be very open and transparent about that. Don't promise things that don't exist yet. But you can ask people you wanna start developing this, but you can't promise anything. Document, manage, coordinate personal development action plans. Have fun with this, but manage the expectations. Because you have assessed someone psychometrically does not promise a job or a promotion. Be very open, transparent about it. All right, and then this is for my HR people. This is how you will structure your succession planning interview. Yes, I do see a few spelling errors. If you've picked up one or two, I've also seen it. I will change it before I send you the document. This is a fairly new document, but I will go zoom in on it when we're finished here. So this is a question, a succession plan questionnaire. I'm not going to do this today, but this is what you can do for your succession plan people. So even if for you that's here in your personal capacity, you can also do this by yourself, have fun with it, but we're not going to do this today. What I do want to make you aware of is your career life cycle. Determine where you are. Are you in the early, mid, or late career life cycle? And the reason why this is important is because one's values change. Often when people are in the early life cycle, they really look at a salary first. When you get older, you look at time first. You know, it swaps around. You want to look at balancing your work and your career life. But this is the career life cycle. This is how we start when we're young, and this is how it progresses. So firstly, there's the assessment stage. You are getting ready for your life's work. This is characterized by unawareness, in that you are not sure what your values are, your strengths are, your weaknesses are. We can have a lot of them today in our session. You don't know who you are, where you are. It's still in the assessment phase. It's when everything is chaos. You're trying to get experience. It's difficult. People don't want to give you a chance. You don't know what you can offer. But we're going to help you with that to structure your thoughts that you can put it onto your CV. I know there's also differences in the generational way of thinking. I think our younger generations are a little bit more balanced than maybe the Generation X's were. They were way more in trying to secure the financial part. So we can learn from each other. But it doesn't matter where you are or who you are. It is just good to know that you may feel a little chaotic at this point. That's fine. It's normal. The second stage is the investigation stage. You are researching what work exists in the world. The stage is characterized by feelings of confusion in that you are not sure what career options exist for you. You may feel overwhelmed with all different types of jobs and opportunities exist as you begin the process of researching the modern world. But if you approach this stage with a positive frame of mind, you will learn about many possibilities. It was the same for me when I was in my 20s. I had the same conundrum as a Gen Z person told me the other day. She just feels like everyone wants experience, but it's always been like that. So do not let that limit you. even if you need to offer to work at a lower salary at certain points, if you are able to work for free, it doesn't matter. Do anything that you can. If you are a student, do not sit and just study. Get going with whether you are a waiter. It doesn't matter if you volunteer time for some admin work, even if you just do some filing, do something. Whenever we do psychometric assessment and I help the client choose a good employee, we look at the CV, we look at the pattern, we look to see whether you've actually made an effort. I had someone the other day, she was already 30, qualified psychometrist, and this person was unable to work because the person has been carried by other people throughout that whole entire time when she was studying, didn't put in any effort, but when she entered the workplace, she was not able to work at all. There was no idea of when do I start, when do I finish, what is the value of applying attention to detail when I finish a report, or if I file something, or when I start work. Any type of exposure to work is going to help you to get more structured in your mind. You will be faced with people that's difficult, and that gives you skills. Even if you think, but it's stupid, it's useless, I'm waitering, it doesn't matter. You will be faced with difficult people, situations where you need to be creative or apply your own resilience. If you just do absolutely nothing, you are not going to be as good as the person that did something. So maneuver, stick out your head. I know it's hard work right now and you don't want to do it because it's unpleasant because you're not getting paid for it. It pays off in the long run. Remember, no one is going to feel sorry for you because everyone that's older did that in the beginning. So they're not going to feel sorry for you. So they're going to look at your effort. Are you applying effort? Okay, then the preparation stage. You are still getting ready to do your life's work. The stage is characterized by feelings of excitement as you think of how wonderful it can be to perform meaningful work. There is still much to be done here. And in order to be successful, you have to be prepared. Okay, and then there's the commitment stage. You feel confident in that you have figured out what you are meant to do. Some people have known all along what they're meant to do, but they are not able to commit to the process of making it happen. At this stage, more than ever, you must focus your energy and keep your eye on the target. Also, this way people jump around quite a lot because they can't commit. They are not resilient to see it through. They do not want to listen to the feedback that they're getting. To stick around, to commit, is going to mean way more for you than jumping around. The transition stage, this is characterized by feelings of discomfort in that you are unsure of what you will be doing next and whether you'll be happy. At this stage, you will learn to make conscious changes in your career direction. So this is just the stages that people go through. So you may currently, there where you're sitting right now, you may feel confused, you may feel uncomfortable, or you may feel quite settled in what you want to do, but you want to make some changes. All right, and something else that you just need to know about is the early, the mid, and the late career life stage. So when you get this document, you can go into this a little bit longer and deeper. But someone that's between the ages of 17 and 39, this would be the early career life stage. It's after 39, around the 40s, that people become more balanced and the values changes. So the early life stage is characterized by achieving independence, responsibility, developing self-reliance and autonomy. This is a hard phase. This is very difficult. One often works for free, for cheap. You are miserable because you are in your credit card. You're trying to establish your family. You may have young children at home. The one may come before the other, whatever, but this is quite a chaotic phase. You want to find your place in society, making an impact in the environment. This is the place where you want to establish yourself. If you commit and you are quite structured and you don't make sudden, stupid changes, once you get out of this phase, when you get to the middle career life stage, you may feel way more, okay, I've made it. I've got there. I've gotten there. But remember, you can achieve that comfort or settlement in your 30s already. You don't have to be chaotic until 39, but just know that your mind is still trying to determine where am I. But now let's look at the 40s to the 59. This is where you refine your own identity, clarifying one's values and philosophy of life, adjust to changes in your family life. You may want to have more leisure time. So this is where be careful to jump jobs purely because of monetary purposes. Here you really want to make sure you've got your CV in place that shows what it is that you can offer. But here often the work-life balance is more important. Finding new occupational satisfaction. So often sometimes some people will have something on the side and they may say, I've always done this, I've worked hard, but I would like to also tap into my creative side. I wanna make handbags or design clothes in my spare time, or just write a book or do something that I've always placed on hold. And then let's look at the late career life stage. So this is dealing emotionally, intelligently with emotional losses, establishing satisfactory physical arrangements, adjusting to change concerning one's spouses. So here you may be faced more with people that around you that's maybe sick or even die. It doesn't mean it can't happen in the other stages, but this is now when people start thinking of retirement and disengagement. You may be more a mentor or a consultant even. But these are the stages that you can go through. Okay, let's start with why do we want to do it? We want to enhance our employability. So we look at general employability, occupational specific skills. You want to develop company specific skills. Then also you want to understand and develop yourself. So not only in your career, but how does the growth inside you take place? So I'm not going to read through this because this is the why we want to do this. So if you get this questionnaire, it would be good for you to go through this list in your own time in detail. And then you will also see there's a whole part about career anchors. Now, career anchors is also something, where would you find yourself? Are you a technical functional type of specialist? Do you like general managerial competence? Are you entrepreneurial? And then just your employability in general. Let's look at the need-based anchors. Do you value autonomy, independence, security, stability, lifestyle and work-life balance? Do you like to provide a service, dedication to a cause? Is a pure challenge for you? What it is that you need? Do you have a spiritual purpose? So can you see that we're touching on quite a few things there? You can be someone that wants to have their own business. Managerial competence means I want to manage people in an organization. Do you want to provide a service? So there's a lot of things that you need to determine where you are, and you can have a combination of them all. Okay, now I want to just see what the time is. Perfect. We've got an hour now to go through the checklist, and this is going to be your counseling session. This is your counseling session in terms of the questions I'm going to ask you, and I'm just opening up here to see if I've got any questions so far. There's no questions so far. Remember, don't be shy to share your questions. I can actually jump here to the chat box. Okay. This is also, after you've done this here with me, you can do it again with yourself. And what you can also do is practice this on other people. If you've got a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old at home, you can do this with other people as well. But do not run the answers ahead. Do not lead people. Let them think for themselves. That's why I'm going to ask a question now, and then I'm going to keep silent for a while to give you time to write it down. So if there's a few awkward silences, it's for me to give you an opportunity to just put your thoughts on paper. Okay, let's look back on your life journey. I don't care how old you are. You can be 20 years old or 60 years old. I want you to look back on your life journey. Let's look back at school. Firstly, list your matric subjects. Yes, I know it's a long time ago. I can remember mine clearly. Think about them. And if you can roughly remember the symbols that you obtained, you can put them down, even if it's just roughly, it doesn't matter. For those of you who are younger, put your symbols down. I also just, while you are writing, so write it down so long while I'm talking. I don't believe always that the symbols and the scores and the marks that you obtained in high school is an accurate reflection of what you can achieve afterwards. I know a lot of people that didn't do well in matric or in high school overall, and they've made a massive success of themselves and their careers. I want to add there that my own my home life was a little bit chaotic, so therefore my marks weren't great. And I've become an industrial psychologist and I'm busy with my PhD. So do not think that because you didn't have certain subjects such as maybe maths and science, that you can't achieve your dream. Do not think that because you didn't do as great, that you can't do great afterwards. I don't like the correlation. I've just seen, I've been around the block. Maybe you can see it. I'm already 50 years old. I've been around the block. I've seen a lot of people not do well in school and they make a massive success afterwards. Nothing stops you as well from exploring your entrepreneurial creativity. Okay, so enough from me. Have you listed your matric subjects and your symbols obtained? Roughly. That doesn't have to be perfect. Just think about them. And then, which subjects did you like studying most? So just list them. What did you like the most and why did you enjoy it? So I can give you, I don't really want to lead you now in giving you an answer, but one of the subjects I had was, it was called bedrijfseconomie. So that would be industrial economy. What was it in English? It would be something like industrial economy or economics, something like that. But it was more a study subject than anything else. There wasn't complicated statistics in it. I absolutely loved it. And it's interesting that today I am in psychology and I'm in the industrial part of it. And I remember that whole part of the entrepreneurial part, the business part, I loved it. So think about your own. Was it the languages? Was it the languages that you enjoyed? Was it maths? Did you enjoy it? Whatever it is, write down your own subjects that you liked the most and why did you like it? So why did you like it? Then the third question would be, which subjects did you like least and why? So which subjects of the ones that you listed there did you least like and why? For myself, what did I not like? Am I going to say the good old maths? Maybe I would say maths, purely because, let me blame it on the teacher. The teacher was very impatient. Yeah, I didn't like that part so much. I would have liked actually to see more of the stuff that the boys did, like the technical things. I would have, because then I could actually help myself today with a lot of things. But which subjects did you like least and why? Okay, remember you can, if you've got questions, put it in the chat box. I actually can see the chat box. Usually I can't, I can see it. So I'm opening it here now. Okay. If you've written that down, let's go to after school. What courses or studies have you done since leaving school? So take some time to think about anything that you did, really formal or informal. If you didn't do a formal type of degree, if you did a certificate or diploma, anything like that, put down anything. It can be even an informal type of course in your workplace. Maybe it was a stress management type of thing. Anything, list anything that you did, even if it was something totally not related to your work, but it was something you did privately and informally, like a culinary type of course, like how to bake a bread. Put that down. Put down anything that you can think of. Do not think that it doesn't matter here. Here you want to put down any course or studies that you've done since leaving school. Okay. Did you enjoy these studies and why? So simple question. Did you enjoy these studies and why? So if there was anything that you studied after school, did you enjoy it? And why did you enjoy it? If I had to think about my own studying industrial psychology, I absolutely loved the understanding people, but I absolutely loved the combination of combining it with business. Because I started with counseling psychologists, like psychology in the normal, and then I realized it's too intense. I don't like that. I like the business component of it. All right, and then the third question, would you like to study further? So you don't have to tell us what yet, but would you like to study further? So whether you've studied before or not, it doesn't matter. Here right now where you are sitting, would you like to study further? Okay, would you like to study further? Okay, let's look at your interests. So this is the next cluster. Relax and just think about your interest. There's no right or wrong answer here. No one is going to see what it is that you write down. Also, do not think that you're supposed to give a specific answer. So your interests, what are your interests outside of work? So what would be your interests outside of work? And then the second question, do you have any hobbies in the past or present? Did you have any hobbies in the past or present? Hobbies is one of the first things we give up when the stress is turned on. We get rid of hobbies, we get rid of the fun stuff, we get rid of the creative stuff. So now I want you to go back to that. Think about any hobby that you had, even if you are 40 years old today. What were your hobbies in school or in your 20s or in your 30s? Think about the hobbies that you loved. Write them down in the past, or if there's any hobbies that you have in the present. Okay, so let me just recap the question. What are your interests outside of work? And if you've got none, I almost want you to start thinking about, I want you to write down there none, because it means that you really need to get something, because it is there. You have just suppressed it because you get overwhelmed with real life stuff, and you focus on that and everything else gets put aside. But you do have interests. Believe me, you have interests. If you had to look at a perfect world, in a perfect world, if you had more time for yourself, what would be your interest? And then secondly, do you have any hobbies in the past or in the present? Okay. Someone said to me once when we did this exercise, they said they really want to make more money, but in the exercise, they felt like it's not a good thing to write down. You shouldn't want that. And I said to her, that is absolutely nonsense. You can write down in this exercise anything that you want. What is it that you value, what you like? What are your interests? Maybe your interest is to have a business on the side to make more money. Then that is your interest. You can do whatever it is that you want. Right, let's look at general. Okay, let me just check. There's no questions for me yet. Am I not going too fast? Okay, let me give you, I'm just going to give you another minute to think. And write that down. Let me just recap that for you. So what are your interests outside of work? Do you have any hobbies, past or present? Okay, then let's look at general questions. What do you consider your best achievement in life? So let's just hang on to that particular question for now. Let's just think about it. What do you consider your best achievements in life? So let your thoughts go a little bit. One may think, maybe it's that particular degree that I got, or I bought a house, or But think further than that. Think even further than that. Think of small achievements that you've had that you are maybe underestimating. Things that you think, well, that's not an achievement. I'm supposed to have done way more in my life. What would be your best achievement in life? And achievements. So you can say, maybe you obtained a degree, then you obtained maybe an honors degree, or but look further than the formal things, formal structures. Look at smaller things, even where there was no qualifications or monetary rewards. It can also be that you've maybe established a center where you help people, or you've just volunteered somewhere and you are helping people, and you've achieved something through that. Never just think about what you think we want to hear here. It can be anything. What are your best achievements in life? Okay, then let's look at question number 2. What do you consider your best talents and why? So I want us to linger here a little bit longer, because this is where the particular lady that I had this discussion with, she could not tell me what her talent is or talents are. And then I didn't believe that, because everyone has got a talent. But what is a talent? What is something that you are just inherently and naturally good at? And what do you consider that to be? So don't think that there should be a textbook thing that Celia wants as an answer. Write down anything that you think could describe a talent, would be an inherent trait that you were born with. And even if you think it's, yeah, but everyone can bake a bread, or anyone can cook. You don't have to be a Jamie Oliver or a what is that other guy's name? Jamie Oliver or Najala or whoever. You don't have to be that good. But if you are someone that you get complimented on, you can cook and bake quite well, that can be a talent. Think about painting, drawing, dancing, listening to other people, caring for other people. So anything. Think about your best talents and why would that be a best talent? Okay. So firstly, let's just recap. What do you consider your best achievements in life? What do you consider your best talents and why? Okay. And then question number 3. What would you like to become one day? Okay, so most of us are there already. But think about what, even if you are older now, and what would you have wanted to become? So think about your dreams, your aspirations, your ambitions. And never think it's too late or that you're too old. Never think about it like that as well. There's still a long time ahead. Our careers are going to expand way longer than becoming 60 or 65 years old. We can already see people are pushing it for longer. Not that we want to work until then, but the thing is also, you could also, what I've seen people do, they have their career, and then when they later in life, they change to maybe something a little less demanding, but more creative, sort of like on a consulting basis or something on the side. But for you, that's your early 20s. What would you like to become one day? And you can write down more than one thing, and it can be link this to your dreams, your aspirations, and your ambitions. Okay. So what would you like to become one day? Also, what we've seen in reality happens is most people make a big career change, maybe twice in their life, where they will go from one thing to something totally different. So think about that. So what would you like to become one day? What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? What are your ambitions? Okay. And then question number 4. What type of activity gives you the greatest happiness and satisfaction? So what type of activity gives you the greatest happiness or satisfaction? Okay, so don't think there must be an exact answer. For example, you put something in the question block previously, so the activity should link to that. It doesn't have to link. Think about an activity that gives you the greatest of happiness and satisfaction. So even if you are in an HR role, but if you think about what gives me the greatest happiness is to be very, very practical with my hands. I like to make things, create things. It doesn't have to relate to each other at all. You can have many talents, you can have many interests, and you can have many activities that gives you happiness or satisfaction. Don't think that there's a specific answer. Think purely, wipe out everything in your mind. What type of activity gives you the greatest happiness or satisfaction? Really indulge in it. What really makes you really, really happy? Okay, and in work or home? So if you think of an activity that gives you the greatest happiness, is that at work or at home? Okay, so there is some notes here. So while all of you are thinking and writing down, I want to read through some of the comments here. Okay, so there's quite a few. Okay. 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 Okay, so there's people that also say, business economics. That's the thing, that's the word that I was looking for, not industrial economics, it was business economics. Yeah. Love least maths. Also, I found it also boring and confusing. I loved economics a lot. Okay. So someone said, yeah, I love doing handcrafted pieces of art and becoming a DJ because I love music and I want to make extra money. Yes, my best achievement is actually gaining experience in the field I studied. Yes, my best talent is trying new things and being persistent. Yes, helping people to find themselves or what they were meant to do. And I know it's only them who can open that button. Yes, okay. These are all good things. So you need to let your thoughts go on that. So then someone else said, yeah, one day I would like to become a lecturer. Someone said here, I would like to become a powerful woman, always inspiring others. Yes, I would like to develop a fully functioning app and become a poultry farmer, become a millionaire overall. Right, so those are your, those would be your dreams, your aspirations, your ambitions. Okay. Okay, so I would assume everyone is finished here. Let's look at the last question under general. So it says, what do you do to relieve work stress? What do you do to relieve work stress? And I hope some of you've got answers here, because this is also something people neglect terribly, because, you know, we just storm forward. We just, and we think that we work, and if we just sleep well, work and sleep well, that's going to be enough. Sleep is just one part of stress relief or gaining your energies back. What do you do to relieve work stress? Right, that's all I'm going to say. What do you do to relieve your work stress? Okay, so here was a lot of questions now around your inner thoughts, like your talents, your dreams, your aspirations, what brings you happiness, and what relieves your stress during the day. See if there's more questions here. You're welcome to put your responses or your questions. Okay, I'm just resetting this thing. Oh, there we go. Every time when I reset it, I can actually see the notes people made. Okay, and then so someone said, yeah, life sciences was my least. Too much theory. I would say skills that are valuable to start your own business and for hobbies. Yeah, so this is why it's important to look at what are your skills and your talents and not underestimate it, because that can help you start business. In South Africa, research is showing us that we do not have enough entrepreneurial creativity. People are scared. People think they need to be perfect. They just think they can't do it. They may be unrealistic. So we do not have enough entrepreneurs in our country. So if we can promote the thinking and the creativity, we can promote ourselves like a brand, like Pamela Anderson did. So if she can do it, we can do it too. But you can do it in different ways. You don't have to promote your own as an entity, but the product or your service that you, and your skill and your knowledge that you have. To achieve what the 1% can, yes, exercise, pray. I play video games like COD to relieve stress. So if you play a lot of video games, also try to balance it with physical activities, and because it's where you go. It's also like when we sit and we start scrolling, then on the phone it is a COD thing. So try to incorporate it with other things as well. Being in nature, run in my lunch hour, and go dance classes at least once a week. Fantastic. That is just brilliant to do that. Okay. Okay, but before I get back to that, I can already see how we're going to connect things here. Let's look at your work history. List the jobs that you have held. Doesn't matter how old you are, list the jobs that you have held. List even the most simplest of jobs when you were in high school, like waitering or doing an admin job for free somewhere. Anything that you have done, write them down up through to where you are today. List all the jobs that you've done. Even if you've been a nanny for someone, if you've been an au pair, do not think that those things are not important. Every single thing that you've done that can be classified as a job, whether it was for free, for cheap, for whatever, for how short or long, list that job. Think back a little bit. Which jobs did you like the most and why? So which of these jobs that you've listed here did you like the most and why? Which of the jobs did you like the most and why? I can give you an example. Way in the beginning when I started my career, I was actually a flight attendant. I liked the fact that it was a service-orientated type of job. I liked that. But I can also tell you what I did like was the fact that there wasn't a lot of routine. I loved that. So for me, the job was actually more about the fact that I was sort of free and autonomous. I could do whatever I wanted to. So those type of things are important. So if you think about the why, do not just think about the actual task. It could also be the fact that you had freedom, you had autonomy, you could come and go when you wanted to, you could work from home, you dealt with people. So don't just think in a strict way, I did an admin job because I was able to organize papers. Don't think that rigidly. Think further. Think it was because I was making a contribution. I like the fact that I was helping someone. I like the fact that I was learning how to manage my own business. I like the fact that I had autonomy or creativity or discretion. Think further. All right. Then question number 3. Which job tasks were you best at? So if I think back when I was a flight attendant, people actually told me that I was quite organized and I thought of everything. Where I thought I was pretty useless, the feedback that I got, I thought, but everyone is doing that. And then I realized they weren't. I was actually apparently quite organized. And I can see even today I'm quite organized, but I was organized with the tasks, but I was, because there was no routine, I was very flexible. And so flexibility is my other thing that I can say that I'm very good at. So my personality actually fits a consulting type of business or an entrepreneurial type of business because I'm very, very flexible. I'm very open and adjustable. So think about the job you were best at. And yeah, what is it that you were good at? What at that job were you good at? So if the first question would be, which jobs did you like the most and why? Which job tasks were you best at? Let me see if anyone put something in the chat box here. Let's reboot it. Okay. While you are writing down, okay, running my lunch hour, yes. Okay, switch off, chamomile tea, read a book, talk to people, spend time in the sun. Yes, that sounds good. Go for a jog after work, being in a peaceful place and let my mind flow. That's where I get my ideas from. Yes, listening to music and exercise, sometimes write poems. Fantastic. Prioritize yourself to take breaks and step away. And the sun helps a lot. I'm glad people are mentioning the sun. We live in Africa and everyone is neglecting the sun. You know, we need to get that sun for the vitamin D. If you didn't know it, the sun converts cholesterol to vitamin D3. So that's where you need to get into the sun. Taking long walks, going to a park and observe nature, small breaks throughout the workday to step outside and do some breathing exercises. Fantastic. I wonder if we've got a lot of Gen Zs in the room because they are way more balanced. So anyway, qualified machinist, nanny, ICT assistant, data capture, teacher assistant, NSC and SC invigilator. Wow, very good. Lots of types of, you may also see between the types of jobs that you've listed, there may be links between them. This is the thing that you want to look at, is the links between. There may be a topic between the things that you've done. Someone else said shop assistant, call center, IT support, Linux intern, application developer, cloud associate. Can you see? I can also see there the very attention to the detail, the technology thread that goes through it. Someone else said shop assistant, HR intern, HR assistant. Wow. So that's really, you got into the workplace and then into the HR. So you're growing it like that. And then, yes, the how, Phil, find me somewhere. Why is the point? Okay, so yes, the how. Phil, find me somewhere. Why is the point? Okay, so the how, okay, and the why. Okay. Okay. Yeah, good to think about. Good to think about. So let's see, what was the jobs that you were best at? We covered that. And then what was the least challenging job? What was the least challenging job? So out of all the jobs that you've done, what was the least challenging? Not that you didn't like. What was the least challenging? If I have to think about my own, what was least challenging? I think I was a part in HR and I had to do admin. I wasn't allowed to sort of apply my creativity. That frustrated me a little bit because I like the fact that it was now with industrial psychology, there's more a deeper insight into people's behavior. So look at it like that for yourself. If there's anything that that you would like to be challenged on that you did not get challenged on in whatever one of those of your jobs. And then question 5, what made it least satisfying or a challenging job for you? These are good questions. What made it least satisfying and least challenging? So let's see if people made some notes here. So what?
I have someone with their hand raised.
Yes,
Tandokazi, I can unmute. Hold on for me.
Okay.
Okay, I see the hand was lowered.
Okay, but let me read through if anyone wants to type in, we are busy with that now. So let me read what we got. So IT being able to solve issues and paying attention to detail. There we go. The sun immediately changes the mood, absolutely. Someone else said here, HR manager, chainsaw operator. Someone said babysitter, cashier, claims consultant, underwriting, administrator. Can you also see how this person has grown? They've taken little bits up, little bits more, little bits more. And that's how you grow. People don't always understand. It's small steps, small steps. It is when you want to take one big, massive step to become the CEO that it's unrealistic. Build with small steps, small little aims, and you will get there. You have to be patient and you have to build your own brand and skill. Okay, so someone said here, so would you advise to include all the work experience when applying? But what about the relevance of the job requirement? Please advise so that we can fix. So you know what I would do? I would list all the jobs. I would even today, if I was in school and I waited for a period of time, I would put it on there, but I would say there, this was the year and this was my age, and then any formal stuff I would add. Then I would expand on that. But if you think about, say you were a waiter while you were in school, or a babysitter while you're in school, or early 20s, it doesn't matter. Then I would extract the competencies and the skills that I applied when I was in those jobs. And I would put that under my personal skills. So, you know, when you open up a CV and it says my personal attributes, you can easily say that I'm responsible. I value, you know, my time management is very good because, you know, you have to get to a place. Believe me, you think that this is irrelevant. I've worked with people that don't even know when to get to work and when to leave. So it's that important. So you can say that my time management is good. I was resilient because I had difficult customers. I was responsible because because I was a babysitter. So I would actually extract the competencies out of those things that you may think is not that important, but it is important because that is the skill that you applied and the skill that you developed at that time. So even administrative type of work, when you do administration, you have to be very attentive to detail. You have to be organized. So those would be the skill that goes hand in hand with that. Okay, so so is everyone finished with this? What made that particular job the least satisfying or challenging for you? All right, so if everyone is finished writing that down, now we are going to assess your skills. Let me just see what the time is. Okay, so let's start assessing your skills. So you've got in your head fresh now what we were talking about. I just want to refresh my chat box just in case someone put anything down. So let us continue with assessing your skills. So now we've thought about all the background stuff. That is who you are. That's all the background stuff. Let's zoom into your skills. What specific skills did you learn on the job? So for that person that asked me now, but do I put those jobs into my CV? Do I include it? I would include it. And then I would highlight the skill that I learned on that job. So go back to all the jobs that you guys have listed. Even if it's 1 or 3 or 5, it doesn't matter, including your waitering jobs, your babysitting jobs. What was the skill that you learned on that job? So take a minute to think about this. Because, you know, we underestimate it. We think, but who's going to care about the fact that I waited for 2 years when I was in high school? It may not be that important, but you still gained the skill and experience. You still encountered people that didn't tip you at all, where you could have had a good tip and made some money. You actually did that for free. You were resilient. You stayed committed. You saw it through, and you were able to just continue and deal with difficult people and difficult situations. You think that will influence you. It changes you. So what skills did you learn on the job? I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about that. What skills did you learn in any of these jobs that you've listed? if there's anyone who finds any of the questions difficult, like you feel like you can't answer it, you can let me know so that we can help you to stimulate your thoughts on that, because it happens sometimes. Sometimes you need like a day to think about it. So if you don't have the answer right now, take time to think about it. Okay, so what skills did you learn on the job? Okay, let's jump to the second question. Which job tasks did you learn in your family or at home? Which job tasks? So which tasks did you learn in your family or at home? Okay, here's a few comments in the box. Yes, let's see. So someone said, I was able to upgrade the server OS and do OS admin on an enterprise level. I would assume all of those are IT related stuff. So, and it gets quite complex. So you're growing little bits by little bits. Then someone said your personal development. Someone said people skills. Someone else said I worked as a cashier in a retail store and learned to be more patient, and I learned to work with people and different personalities. Don't underestimate, those things are very, very important, because the way that you interact with people, the way that you communicate with people, the way that you handle conflict, your patience that you apply, the resilience to jump back from a disappointing encounter or a hurtful encounter, all are a very important skills. Someone else here said responsibility. They learned responsibility. Very important. You think that accountability and things like accountability, responsibility, sense of duty, it's iffy. No, it's not. It is very important. It's the people in this world that's got the discipline, that's got the commitment, that's got the resilience that they built and developed, that makes it. There's a reason why some people are up there and making fairly good money. Remember, you don't have to become a millionaire or be rich. You want to be comfortable. You want to be good. You want to be okay. Even if that's your, just one of your goals where you could say, I just want to be okay with me and my family. We need to be okay. For you to get there, you have to apply those skills. Okay, so which job tasks did you learn in your family or at home? Which skills, this is question number 3. Which skills did you learn elsewhere, in clubs or schools or communities? Right, we are getting way deeper now. So what skills did you learn elsewhere, at the church, club or school or whatever? Even if you think about the sports that you do, a lot of you may do sports. What other skills did you learn elsewhere? Okay, let's just recap it quickly while you guys are writing down. What special skills did you learn on the job? Which job tasks did you learn in your family or at home? Question number 3. Which skills did you learn elsewhere, in clubs or schools, community, church, whatever? Question number 4. What help do other people seek from you? What help do other people seek from you? Okay, I'm going to go through the chat box quickly while you are thinking. At home, I learned accountability. And I wonder what that looks like, that accountability. Because if you can describe it, then you know what it is that people want in the workplace. So accountability. So if you want to answer, you're welcome. What does accountability look like to you? Someone else just said discipline and communication. And also, if you want to explain to us, what does discipline and communication look like to you? Someone else says here, barista leadership at church. Yes. that leadership is a good component, because you want to flesh out, what does it mean? Like, what if you had to paint a picture, what does that leadership mean for you? And then someone else said, skills I learned elsewhere include teamwork and learning to compromise, as well as empathy. Very good. Can you see there, the skills are coming out already? Those are the type of things you want to put on your CV, because those are the type of thing that people are looking for in the workplace. Someone else said, senior citizens will ask me to help them with their phones. That's a nice one. As simple as that sounds, that is a very important one. At home, I learned cleaning after myself, discipline, and learning respect. I like that, because they do say that that discipline does come from if your parents allow you and leave you to do your stuff on your own, and they don't do it always for you. You learn your own self-direction and your own self-control and your own self-discipline. I'm one of those people, you know, that there was a clip on Facebook or Instagram a while ago. You all must have seen it, where it's a general, an army general from America, that says the first thing you need to do in the morning is make your bed. I make my bed every single day, and I make it look very nice, and I make it look inviting and comfortable. So when I get home at night, I've got a beautiful room waiting for me. So I'm just one of those people that want to have a nice environment, an organized environment, a beautiful environment, one where you want to be, and one that you earn as well. So see it as that self-discipline is incredibly important. Okay, so if you've answered, what help do other people seek from you? The last question in this cluster is, do you have any community-based work? If so, what is the nature of work? So do you have any community-based work? And if so, what is the nature of that work? Right, so if you have any community-based work, what is the nature of it? And yeah, okay, let me read here again. Okay, oh, there's a lot of comments here. Let me see. Okay, here we go. So the last one I read was, at home I learned cleaning after myself, discipline, and learning respect. Love it. Then skills I learned from other people is setting boundaries, sticking to my values, always believing in myself, accepting people for who they are, knowing my worth. I like that. That's quite comprehensive. And it's always a good thing. Believe in yourself and always have a very realistic estimation also of what it is that you can do, what it is that you can offer. And if you are someone that's very open to feedback and learning, you will see that you are realistic already. So you want to be realistic, but you don't want to over or underestimate yourself. It's usually people that when they overestimate themselves, they actually never really put something out. It's iffy, it's washy, it's all in the air. They are maybe 21 years old, they don't want to work towards somewhere, they want to jump to being the millionaire or the CEO immediately, too quickly. Have your goal. You are here now. Your goal is to become a CEO or a millionaire or a whatever. I'm not just mentioning things. Work out your steps. How are you going to get from where you are now to there? Work it out. So have your goal, have your aspiration, have your dream. Then use the skills that you've just identified. Work a step-by-step plan on how to get there. Then also don't be too rigid in your plan to get there, because that's going to cause you stress. But also have an indication of deadlines, an indication. It mustn't be too tight, because if it's too tight or too rigid, it will just cause you stress. Okay, and then washing dishes and cleaning taught me to complete chores, negotiate, and once it's done, it's done. Yes, I like the negotiation. So accountability to me means playing my part and understanding that the role I play does not only affect me, but also affect someone else. Yes, for example, not cleaning my room that I share with others as a child had a negative impact on them because we are in a shared space. Such a good example. It's the same at work, and it's the same in a team, and it's the same actually everywhere. We have to take accountability. And so if you can be less selfish because we do have quite a bit of selfishness in the world at the moment. If you can think about how your actions impact other people, you can be more selfless and think about the consequences of your thinking, your decisions, how that will impact others. That is accountability. And if you can get to a point where you can acknowledge your own mistakes, oh, wow, your own mistakes and decisions, then you've arrived. Then that really means that you are a mature person who'll say, you know what, I messed up. I should have never done that. Or I messed up. That's why we're late. I messed up because I didn't think about the steps, about what was going to happen. That is more than fine. It's when you avoid and dodge the responsibility because you feel that you're going to get into trouble or people are going to hold it against you. And maybe you'll be in a punitive environment one day, but that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not how it just may be like that in certain. The reason why I think people avoid accountability in the workplace is often when the bringing up part was very punitive and tough, and people came down on them like a ton of bricks. Then you develop a sort of a defense mechanism where you don't want to acknowledge any of the mistakes that you've made. Imagine just a life where you can't say, I'm sorry, I messed up. Imagine that. That's ridiculous. You must be able to communicate and say, how can I do better? How can I learn from this? How can I improve and develop? All right. And then someone else here said discipline being punctual and putting in effort to finish what you started, also being consistent, communication, getting over being shy and being more outspoken and being able to ask questions when needed. That's fantastic because discipline is about finishing what you started, being punctual, and also being disciplined about relaxation things as well. So you want to be disciplined about working, my sense of duty, but also taking a break, taking a breather, having my relaxation things that I do in a day. So you want to have that balance. What I like about what you're talking about here about the outspokenness, I started developing my own outspokenness, and you know what I found? The minute when I started being more outspoken, and it sounds daunting, especially if there's some of you out there that's not as outspoken. Once you practice to put your thoughts on the table, you know what happens automatically. Your own needs will come out. People will see what your needs are, and you'll be able to communicate your needs. And there's nothing wrong with that. So it doesn't mean that people are just going to do what you say or accept what you say. The issue lies in being able to put your thoughts and feelings on the table, acknowledging your need. Whatever happens from there doesn't matter. It's the ability to speak up and put your need on the table. So always remember that where the outspokenness helps you to acknowledge your need so that others can see your need as well. Okay, let's jump to self-exploration. This is the last part of our question here. Let me just see. This is the last part. We've got 10 minutes left, so I want to make good use of this time. Okay, self-exploration. What qualities have helped you in your personal and in your private life? Personal, private, it's the same thing. So what qualities have helped you in your personal and private life? Okay, what qualities have helped you in your personal and your private life? Right. Refreshing the notes here to see. Okay, second question. What do you consider your personal strength? Think about everything that you put down on paper now. What do you consider your personal strength? I'd love to know what you guys are thinking. Let me just refresh. Okay. Okay. Third question. What qualities have helped you in school or in studies? What qualities have helped you in school or in your studies? School, university, doesn't matter. What qualities have helped you in school or in your studies? Even if you are 50 years old and you are listening to this, Think back to when you were in high school. What qualities have helped you in high school? What qualities helped you when you studied? Question number 4. What qualities do others admire about you, or will they comment on? What qualities do others admire about you or comment on? So this is what other people are saying about you. Someone said you're helping with academic skills. So would you mean that you helped others with their academic skills? Am I understanding that right? Okay, that was question 4. Let's look at question 5. What personal quality would you like to improve or work on? What personal quality would you like to improve or work on? What personal quality would you like to work on? Oh, there's a lot of comments here. Let me see. My skills. Someone said here. Okay, so this person that said helping with academic skills, it says, I would say school helped me with academic skills. Okay, fantastic. Yes, but that was the school that helped you. How were you able to improve your academic skills? Because that lied within you. So I want you to go into you, not the school. So the school did provide the framework, but what did you improve? So I would obviously assume your academic skills improved. So what would that be? Would that be to make good notes, being organized, disciplined? What would that actually be? Because that's the thing that's in you that I want you to write down. And then someone else said here, perseverance, patience, resilience helped me with my personal private life. That's all very good ones. Someone said patience. And it's interesting how incredibly important patience is, patience is just, patience is really one of the things that can really, really help us everywhere. Someone else said here, my confidence. Someone said, I would like to work on my time management and trusting myself more. And what you must zoom in on, the time management and trusting myself more, it could affect each other. See how some of the issues that one has, how the one influences the others. So if you trust yourself more, you want to go into what are my skills? What are my strengths? What is it is it my intuition that I don't trust? And start building on it. Start acknowledging what you are good at and acknowledge what you're not good at. But the time management, think about what is it in the time management. Is it my self-discipline? Is it my lack of planning and then I run out of time? Is it because I don't trust my own judgment and then I run out of time or whatever? Zoom in on that. What does that mean? And then someone else said here, personal quality, I'd like to improve and work on being more patient with myself and others. Yeah, that being patient with oneself is very, very important. Okay. Let's go to the next question. So which quality you like to improve on? Yes. Then, what qualities have others least admired about me? Ooh, that's a difficult one because are we going to be truthful here? What qualities have others least admired about me? Wow. So now you want to think about friends, you want to think about family, you want to think about, if I think about myself, someone said to me the other day that I don't trust anyone else will actually help me. So I've become overly self-sufficient. It's working for me though, but you don't want to be so self-sufficient that it causes you stress. You don't want to be so independent that it causes you stress. So everything in your life has to have a balance. Anyway, Think about something that you can put down there. And then before we run out of time, I just want to go to the other questions as well. How would you balance your work and family life? How would you balance your work and your family life? This is maybe a question you have to think about for a while. How would you balance your work and your family life? For me, it's being able to work from home. I first worked for bosses, and then I created a situation where I was able to work online and at home. And it took a very long time to get that right. But I got my dream. I can do whatever I want. I love that. I love the autonomy and the freedom. So if that is important to you, create it for yourself, but determine the steps. How are you going to get there? Then, what is the meaning of work for you? Why is work important to you? And what brings you satisfaction? Now we're getting into real deep questions here. Let me just refresh the Q&A block. So think about that. These are deep questions. Let me see. Okay. Personal quality, like to improve. Being able to commit to studies and reading, as those were things that were my least favorite, but I took with me to college and became much easier. Okay. So to commit to studying and reading, and that you took to college. I understand. That's good. So can you see that you already developed skills there? You're not even in the workplace there. You're just studying at the moment, and you've taken those skills with you. Okay, that is the person that said the school created the opportunity for them to improve their academic skills. So what you are saying here, I'm able to commit to studies, reading. So that is the quality that is in you. And that is the thing that you want to acknowledge and say, but I can do that. I can actually commit and really focus. And then someone else said, qualities that others admire about me are my people skills, my time management. A personal quality that I want to improve is patience. Right. Close all the outside noise. I don't know what that means. Close all the outside. Is that what you want to do? Close all the outside noise. I hope you don't want me to stop making a noise. Okay, but if you can maybe expand on that, maybe you mean you want to be able to focus, like close all the outside noise. Someone else said being outspoken. I guess that's what you want to improve. So practice it. All of these things that you're managing, that you're mentioning here, attitude, stubbornness, patience. There's someone here said, I've got no filter. Apparently, I'm too blunt. You are already now aware of it. Now you've got no excuse because you are aware of it. Once you are aware of it, you can zoom in on it when it happens, and you can improve it. And what you want to do is you want to observe it happening and think about what it is that you're thinking in that moment. Okay, so I hope you've answered this. What is the meaning of work for you? Why is it important to you? What brings you satisfaction? Those are long questions. If you can't answer it now, think about it in the next week. Then, how do you interpret career success? When do you feel successful? Not when will you know you are. When do you feel successful? How do you interpret career success? So that can be, I want to make a lot of money, or I am making a lot of money. I'm quite influential. I'm quite a specialist in my area. I have autonomy. What is career success for you? And don't feel ashamed if you want to say, I want to make a lot of money. You can do anything. It can be anything. What does it mean for you? And when do you feel successful? So for me, it would be to be just financially comfortable. I don't have to be really massively rich or whatever. I want to be really just comfortable, being able to pay the bills, and then having total autonomy and freedom. That is for me success. And to be a specialist in my area of expertise. If I can help people by interpreting results for them, I just love that. And then the last question, what are your greatest career concerns and why? This is a big one. What are your biggest career concerns and why? Let me refresh the chat box. What are your biggest career concerns and why? Wow, that is a big one. Let me just go to the questions here. Someone said I'm too blunt. Being too blunt, there can also be benefits in it, because you it's the way that you say it. It's good that you say it. You can just maybe look at how you say it. And then I found working from home has resulted in me working longer hours. Thankfully, I don't have young children. Luckily, you are aware of it. So put your boundaries back in place. If you work from home, put your boundaries back in place and try and sort of stick to those. They're not rigidly, but roughly, so that you do value your relaxation as well. And then I prefer to work in a hybrid environment where I'm not micromanaged and I'm more focused on outcome of performance, that I can spend more time with my family. I just love that. And I wish the whole world would stay like that. After COVID, we got a glimpse of it, and I hope we can stay like that more. But this is very good if this is what you can get and if this is what you love. It means that you can really blossom in there. And then work means contributing in society, but money is the motivation. And it depends on how old you are as well, because it is about money. You do want to get something for what you're putting in. So you'd never have to be ashamed of that. You never want to overestimate what it is that you should be paid, but you also never want to underestimate. You want to have a reasonable expectation of where you're supposed to be, but don't undercharge and don't overcharge. Also, really incorporate your happiness, because it's what you can create for yourself for the future that's very, very important. But yeah, we do want to get the money for, really, I'm not going to act like that's not important. I like it. I like being able to pay a bill and to just be comfortable. And also that helps your family as well. Career success for me is knowing that I can transfer skills. Yes, so it is building the Pamela Anderson brand, because for you as an entity, you've got skills, you've got talents, you've got knowledge, and you want to promote that. So, but can you see what my point was that I was trying to do today is to go really back into determining who you are, what skills you've already developed, what you've applied. I can tell you a lot of you have gone through very difficult and painful times. What are the type of skills and things that you had to apply in that very difficult, tough time for you? There's no one here that's going to tell me that they haven't gone through extreme pain and loss and heartache and disappointment. You learned something out of that. And under your personal profile, when you say on your CV, when you say to someone, I'm really resilient. As a matter of fact, what I would do, if I had to put out a CV again, I'd have my personal little, the motivation thing where you say I'm organized and I'm fantastic and I'm just wonderful. Say why you say that. I'm resilient because I've been working since the age of 15 as a waiter. Then I helped my mother when she had this business, and I did this for 2 years. Then I did this. And the reason I've got excellent time management is because I'm self-disciplined, because I had to look after myself or whatever. Motivated. Write down who you are. Don't just Google a whole bunch of things and say, I'm great and fantastic, I'm innovative, blah, 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 blah. Paint a picture of who you really are and your real true skill, and you can motivate it. Someone else said, my greatest career concern of being able to have the opportunity to show my skills and given important tasks to excel within my career. Also toxic management, not giving you recognition opportunities. So this is why you want to build your own brand. Your CV is your brand. This is who you are. And in a toxic environment, you're also learning a skill. Not only are you learning how to now get my skills together, get my experience so that I can move on, so that I can, even if I'm a manager one day, I'm learning, I'm not going to be like that. I want to be in a giving environment, a learning environment. Never see a toxic environment or one where you are squashed and degraded. Never see that as a negative. See that as a learning opportunity. See that as a way. How am I going to get out of it? How am I going to get around it? What is it that I do not want in my life? See it as absolutely as an opportunity. I'm just going to refresh the Q&A. And then in order for us to conclude today's session, what are your core career life themes? If you look at everything that you have said now, that you have listed, everything that you were interested in, all the competencies and the skills, is there a common pattern? Is there a common pattern of, wow, there's quite a service delivery type of pattern here. Oh, wow, I can see that I'm actually quite entrepreneurial. I value freedom, autonomy, creativity. Whatever it is, go through your notes again. And I will be able to send you this booklet. And I will just fix the 1 or 2 spelling errors that I saw in it there. And then we will email it to you, contact the HR Talk or myself, fill it in again, go through it again, enjoy the thing, but promote yourself by acknowledging your talents, your competencies, and really look at, CVs are full of waffle. We waffle because we're trying to sell ourselves. We're just desperate to waffle and get the next job. Really go look at who you really are. I'm actually really a determined person. I'm actually really a self-disciplined individual. I've always done volunteer jobs, anything to get going. Let people see that as a benefit. Okay, so our time is up, but I am going to stay here for if there's anyone who wants to give more questions or any other notes. Okay, so if there's anyone else who wants to ask a question, I'm so glad there were so many people in this session today. I really loved it. Please join us again. There's going to be invites for emotional intelligence, and there's something else. I think emotional intelligence and other stuff. Maybe by the end of the year, we will do study methods and techniques again. So if there's anyone who wants to see study methods and techniques, just let us know. We also do stress management quite often. Okay, so if there's no other questions, then we are finished. Okay, it doesn't look like there's more questions. A lot of people say thanks, 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 and thank you for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please dial in again in the next session. It was great to have you all on board, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you to you.